ain't gonna believe this. Got the preacher wife talking about rock that. If it ain't live, it ain't me. Old nigga, too deaf to lose, too shy to slip a slide. I'm too hard to fall apart. I'm too cold to get old. I'm too hip to trip. I do it to 'em like this. I wanna load it up, knock back, don't miss. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Got the preacher wife talking about rock that. If it ain't live, it ain't me. Old nigga, too deaf to lose, too shy to slip a slide. I'm too hard to fall apart. I'm too cold to get old. I'm too hip to trip. I do it to 'em like this. I wanna load it up, knock back, don't miss. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Got the preacher wife talking about rock that. If it ain't live, it ain't me. Old nigga, too deaf to lose, too shy to slip a slide. I'm too hard to fall apart. I'm too cold to get old. I'm too hip to trip. I do it to 'em like this. I wanna load it up, knock back, don't miss. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Got the preacher wife talking about rock that. If it ain't live, it ain't me. Old nigga, too deaf to lose, too shy to slip a slide. I'm too hard to fall apart. I'm too cold to get old. I'm too hip to trip. I do it to 'em like this. I wanna load it up, knock back, don't miss.
All right, folks, welcome to the show. This is HMW Sports Talk Live, and that makes me Craig Shelton from HMW, Houston Media Watch.com. We are Houston's media watchdogs. I encourage you to go and check out the blog at www.houstonmediawatch.com, or just Google up HMW. That's the acronym for HMW, and you will find us right there. I encourage you folks to check in on the blog a couple times a day at minimum, Monday through Friday, because we post weekends. Hey, whatever's hot, we are Houston's media watchdogs, and when it drops, we try to get it posted for you right there on HMW. Joining me in studio today, making his triumphant return. A little demonstrative introduction there for my man Patrick Creighton. Patrick Creighton. That's at P. Creighton on Twitter from Sports Radio 610. Patrick, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Craig.
Couldn't wait to get you back on. I just felt like last time you were here, we had unfinished business. We need to dig a little deeper into the local sports scene. So today, the timing is great because today we get to dig into the scene in the middle of NFL free agency. And, Patrick and I kind of joked before the show got going because I kind of went back and forth with how much I was going to spend time today on the March Madness tournament. But at this time, decisions are still being made, So I said, you know what, I'm not going to go there today. Obviously, next weekend we'll be rolling by then. We'll definitely discuss all the tournament news here on HMW Sports Talk Live. But we don't like to overthink it. And obviously what's hot and what's on folks' mind, and we'll give it to you hot and heavy today, is free agency. And whether you want to determine it as the lack of activity by the local team, the Houston Texans, or just the general news around free agency. And the other bit of news that has people a little disturbed over the last few days is the play of our Houston Rockets coming off back-to-back losses. And I'm sure Patrick Creighton and I, both being the sane, well-thought-out, calm individuals we are, would tell you to simmer down, Texan fans. Rocket fan. Simmer down. It's going to be okay. You weren't going to win a ring this year anyway. I just made a rhyme. And that's all right because I'm African-American. I get to just do that for no damn reason at all. No, but just simmer down. The Rockets are going to look good, play well. They got a streak coming up of games we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show, and you'll be just fine. You'll be back on the bandwagon again just in time to fall off in the playoffs when they get their ass kicked. How about that? But we're going to start off today, Patrick, with the Texans free agency moves, more Exodus news than signing news for the Texans. I mean, the biggest signing news for the Texans was the signing of and you and I put a post up about this, and you commented on it on Facebook. You know where I'm coming from on that. But the Texans re-signed tight end Garrett Graham to a 3-year deal, $11.25 million. That includes $4.5 million in guaranteed money, which is what's always important in the NFL. I think this is a good contract by the Texans because we want to be keeping a close eye on what the Texans do with contracts going forward here. $3 million. This basically is a little bit over $1 million a year over 3 years with this contract, and I think that's about what Gary Graham is worth. The Texans let go of Owen Daniels, veteran Pro Bowl tight end, on Tuesday, and so getting Graham taken care of Thursday was big news for the Texans. I'll let you comment on that, and then I'll give you the other side of the coin that you know exists with me and this signing, Patrick.
It's not so much that it's a bad signing. I just think that there's not a value pick here. You know, everything with the Texans, we're talking about with a mitigation on the salary cap, because before they signed that deal with Garrett Graham, they had about not quite $13.5 million on their cap. Mm-hmm. That's not a lot of money when you consider $10 million of it is the raise in the salary cap, mm-hmm. and you've got a draft to go through. You're probably going to need $6 million out of it just for that alone. So,
but I expect them to make more moves to free up some salary.
Free up some salary, and that might happen. Here's the issue. You know, Garrett Graham gets a deal, 3 years, $11.25 million. Mm-hmm. Breaks down to roughly $3.75 million a year. Owen Daniels is going to make $4.5. I think there's a massive difference in what you get from Owen Daniels and what you get from Garrett Graham. Garrett Graham had 5 touchdowns last year, had 3 of them in the first 2 games, right, when Owen Daniels was there leading the way. Oh, and he had 3 touchdowns too.
And I know I misspoke saying a little bit over $1 million, but I meant over $3 million a year, right, obviously over the terms of the deal. I think what we will learn to appreciate about the deal is likely more has to do with what we're going to see in how they intend to use Graham, and I'll tell you why I say that. I'm not sold on Graham as in plus tight end. I don't think he's great. I don't think he has much upside in regard to what he can do physically. He's not a guy that's oversized, that's an athletic freak. He doesn't create matchup issues for linebackers as far as his speed and agility. He doesn't create size matchups against safeties. But he does appear to be a decent enough route runner and just kind of knows how to get open, or was able to really perform well in Gary Kubiak's system. But I think what we will probably see from Bill O'Brien is a very aggressive manner of using his tight ends, and this guy is a pass-catching tight end that may bode well for the Texans and be very well much worth that $3 million a year. Now, here's the other side of that, and you can comment on it because you commented on the post. I thought people making a big deal about this signing was way overblown because he's not even the most important tight end on the roster, because this guy is not an every down tight end. But in today's NFL and the way guys like Bill O'Brien and the systems that they run use tight ends, they're so important. And so I can live with the $3 million if it's going to be what I think it's going to be in the way that they use him. But Ryan Griffin is the most important guy now, the guy that they drafted last season, who's got a 6'6" frame, 254 pounds, who has the potential to be more of a every down tight end because he can catch the football and also has that prototypical, I should say, tight end body frame to where you can have him on the field on first, second down, and third down, whatever situation is when you need to grind it out and run the football. Now, he's a little long, a little lengthy in size, and probably needs to get a little strong and bulk up and prove that he can be an NFL blocking-worthy tight end. But that was the reason that I tweeted and posted what I did on Facebook in regard to people making such a big deal about Graham. I'm like, he's not the most important guy in this scenario. Be honest with you, all things I said about Graham and the signing, I'm okay with it. I also would have been okay if they didn't re-sign Graham and looked a different direction and went forward with the development of Griffin and maybe went and got a veteran guy too.
Ryan Griffin now becomes the de facto starting tight end.
In my opinion,
in your opinion,
yeah,
he's better.
Yeah.
All right, he's a better
He has a
pass
bigger
catcher.
upside. We don't really know that he's better, but he has a bigger upside.
From everything I saw last year, he's better. He's a better pass catcher. He's a more dynamic pass catcher. He's a better blocker. Garrett Graham can't block his own
No,
shot.
Garrett Graham, well, he doesn't have the body, the framework. He's what, 6'2", 245.
But that's what I'm saying. Why resign? If you're going to go, why was Garrett Graham the choice? All right, for $750,000, you decided Owen Daniels was too much, but Garrett Graham, who's half of Owen Daniels, that guy's okay to bring. For the extra $750,000, I would have kept Owen Daniels.
And I agree, and that's why I think that Bill O'Brien must have saw what he needed, or he feels he needs, in regard to run his offense the way that he runs it. Because you're absolutely right. There's no argument what you're saying. I completely agree with it in premise. But for Bill O'Brien to be on, because let's face it, he had to be the guy that wanted him on the roster. I don't think we're at a situation where Rick Smith is forcing tight ends down Bill O'Brien's throat. Do you believe that?
I'm not entirely sure what to believe, because while the Texans were winning, Rick Smith never had a qualm about whatever the power share was with Gary Kubiak.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as they were losing, Gary Kubiak's got too much input. I don't have a big enough say. The way we do things isn't right.
Yeah,
All of a sudden now there's an issue.
Whoa. You never heard Rick Smith say that. You're going on speculation. You're going on media hearsay.
No, it's a little more than that.
Well, what is it?
It's a little more than that.
What
Rick Smith separated himself from Gary Kubiak
How did
this
Rick
year.
Smith separate himself?
He started talking about the coach had too much input. He started talking about how the coach had too much input on draft
When did he
day.
start talking about that?
It was probably about 5-6 games into the season.
That the coaches had too
Coach
much
had too much say on the roster.
Where did Rick Smith say that at? In what forum did
It
he
was
say
in
that?
several different publications,
See,
including
I
all the
don't,
local ones.
See, I don't. What I want to do, Patrick, is separate fact from media innuendo and a source says. Because a source says is not good enough for me. I'm not a source says guy. And I'm just like you. I'm at those Texans games. I'm at those press conferences. And I just haven't heard this stuff. And the opportunities have been there for this stuff to be said by Rick Smith. When we say, well, he separated himself from Gary Kubiak. How did he separate himself? It sounds to me that Rick Smith is still connected at the hip to Gary Kubiak. When I hear all of the people who think that Rick Smith should be fired because Gary Kubiak was fired, as if the Texans set some new precedent in firing a head coach and keeping the GM. Right or wrong, we see head coaches fired all the time, and GMs sit right there and carry on. So I'm not even interested in what's the difference. I'm only interested in separating truth from innuendo, things that were actually said, or someone is willing to step up and say, I heard this said, from sources say, according to sources, or I know a guy, or people close to the Texans tell me, because I know people who know people that tell me things too. But it's just I'm not always willing to jump out and just, you kind of understand what I'm saying? I'm not always willing to get out there and put my word out there and say, because I've heard some things since Bill O'Brien has been here, but I wouldn't go out publicly and put them out. Nothing bad, but I wouldn't be comfortable saying them because I don't really know that was said or that's the real mindset of thinking. We're gonna run to a break. We got 5 seconds. We're gonna run to a break. When we get back, Patrick Creighton will continue to look at me like I'm a damn fool. Hanging there is HMW Sports Talk Live.